Right now at 5, a race involving young drivers in Jasper County ends with the crash of a pickup.
And we have some scattered showers and thunderstorms on radar this morning. I'll let you know what the forecast looks like for today as well as the weekend.
Plus, the clock is ticking down for employees of 2 businesses in Baxter Springs as some families try to find a new way to make ends meet.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning, 4 states, and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. The time now is 5 a.m. I'm Caitlin O'Shaughnessy.
And I'm meteorologist Sam Lane. Kind of busy in the Storm Center this morning.
Oh, we had quite the lightning show this morning.
We sure did. A lot of folks probably waking up to the thunder instead of the alarm clock this morning. You see on radar over the last few hours, quite a bit of shower and thunderstorm activity swirling around across our area. And you can see the MCV, what we call an MCV or Mesoscale Convective Vortex, spinning up to the north. It's starting to slowly pull away, but we still have some scattered showers and storms in and around the metro area. But you can see the back edge is now starting to move closer to us. As the morning progresses, that will shift off towards the east, and we're going to see by around lunchtime those showers moving off with a temperature of around 74, and by afternoon partly cloudy skies with highs in the upper 70s, and then 4 o'clock 74 degrees. So sending out the kids this morning on the school bus, you're going to need the rain jacket, maybe the galoshes as well, with a temperature of around 63 degrees. Then by the time they come home, partly cloudy skies with temperatures in the mid to upper 70s across the area. And looking down the lane, we have the morning storms, maybe some more showers Tuesday evening late. And then as we head into Saturday, a pretty stormy Saturday evening. Some of those could be strong to severe, and I'll tell you more about that in just a little bit. Caitlin?
Thanks, Sam. Another person is sentenced for the death of a woman who was kidnapped and shot after being forced into a well in Lawrence County. Frank Sheridan pleaded guilty to 1 count of kidnapping in the 2020 death of Sarah Pascoe of Aurora, Missouri. A judge Monday suspended his 15-year sentence and gave him 5 years probation. In 2020, authorities say 9 people played a role in Pascoe's shooting death. They were also involved in the non-fatal shooting of another woman. Of the 9 originally charged with first-degree murder, Sheridan was released in January of 2022 on his own recognizance after he agreed to testify against the other defendants. A Sunday night race involving young drivers in Jasper County, Missouri ends with a crash of a pickup. Authorities responded to reports of a rollover crash at 13th and Palomino Road in Carthage just after 9 Sunday night. Authorities say a 14-year-old boy driving a Toyota Tacoma overturned while racing a Chevy Tahoe driven by a 12-year-old. 2 14-year-olds were taken to an area hospital with moderate injuries. A Kirbyville business owner is sentenced for illegally tampering with emissions controls. Dennis Cleveland was sentenced to 2 years in federal prison without parole. The court also ordered Cleveland to pay a $250,000 fine. He was the owner of a Kirbyville, Missouri towing company. A judge today sentenced him for leading a conspiracy to illegally tamper with the emissions controls of the company's diesel towing vehicles. According to court documents, each one of Cleveland's 12 illegally altered tow trucks was responsible for releasing the equivalent pollution of over 1,000 legally operating tow trucks. Multiple states, including all 4 in our area, have reached a settlement with finance company resolving an investigation into the company's advertising practices. The investigation revealed that Tempo's marketing and sales practices often misled consumers to believe they were signing up for an installment plan or credit sale when in reality they were entering into a lease agreement. Under the terms of the settlement, Tempo is permanently banned from engaging in future consumer leasing activities. Tempo will pay a total of $1 million to the states and jurisdictions participating in the settlement and $1 million to the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. An Arkansas high school teacher has been working on repopulating an endangered species of snake. Russellville High School teacher Chance Duncan has been diligently working on reproducing Louisiana pine snakes for years. Duncan had a breakthrough this summer when a female snake laid some eggs, which have now hatched, leading to 4 baby Louisiana pine snakes.
These are Louisiana pine snakes. They are probably the rarest snake in the country. I have been working on this project producing Louisiana pine snakes since 2016. I obtained my first one, the female that's in this box right here.
Russellville High School is believed to be the first secondary educational institution in the world to produce a critically endangered snake species. Now students at the school will extract DNA from the baby snakes to confirm that they are indeed pine snakes. In 9 days, National Safety Apparel, previously known as King Louie, in Baxter Springs, Kansas, will be shutting its doors, leaving more than 70 people unemployed. But they're not alone. At the end of July, trucking company Yellow Corporation also ceased operations, leaving another 30 people out of work in the town. For many families, the impacts of the closures are not only financial, but also emotional. The shutdowns could also impact other businesses in the area.
With reduced consumer spending, also reduced tax revenue, with that business not there, not paying taxes, that's going to affect spending as well and our economy ultimately.
It's sad, makes me want to cry. It's emotional. Don't know what to expect. I'm scared because I don't know what to expect.
Kaufman says people who are impacted by the closures can contact Cherokee County's Economic Development Office or the Pittsburgh Work Center. They can help build a resume, apply and search for jobs, and even provide additional training. And that's a look at this morning's top stories and weather in the first 7 minutes. Coming up on KOAM's Morning News. Carthage softball has been streaky the past couple weeks after losing 4 or 5 in a tournament at Ozark. Can they turn this around? Plus, updated COVID-19 vaccines are now available. We'll have what you need to know. And storm chances continue this week. We'll have what to expect from today with Sam in the Skywatch Weather Center. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. We'll be right back.
Carthage softball has been kind of streaky the last couple of weeks after losing 4 or 5 in a tournament at Ozark. The Tigers have rattled off 4 wins in a row this past week, entering senior night against conference rival Branson this past evening. Picking things up at the top of the first, Addie Wallace on the mound for Carthage allows a single to Kaylin Hall. Later in the inning, Branson is up 2-0. Nice play at third by Emmy Stark to get the out at first. And in the inning with the same score, now we go to the bottom of the second, and Alexis Smith lines a single into left. She gets stranded on base. We go to the top of the third, and Wallace gets in a groove on the mound with back-to-back strikeouts. And Branson bats were too much for Carthage this evening, though, and so the Tigers fall on senior night to Branson 9-3. Meanwhile, 2 more COC softball teams faced off last night in Joplin. The Eagles were taking on Carl Junction, and both of them needing a win, and Carl Junction having lost 4 in a row, Joplin trying to start a winning streak after taking down Seneca on Monday. Carl Junction led 5-0, but Joplin scored 9 in the third inning to take a 9-5 lead, and Kaylin Bobsky on the mound for the Eagles gets the strikeout in the fourth, then makes the play with her glove on the comebacker and keeps the 9-5 lead. And Joplin's Riley Kelly comes up to bat at the bottom of the fourth and bounces a double off the wall, and runners on second and third. Taryn Casey comes up later in the inning, gets one into center, caught by Riley Packmer, and plenty deep for an RBI sac fly. CJ, or Carl Junction, comes up to bat off the top of the fifth, needing some life. Alexis Smith hammers one to right field. She'd coast into second with a double, and it's a 10-6 game when Bailey Ledford slaps one on the other way to right for an RBI single to make it 11-6, and Maria Loom in to score. And Carl Junction hung around, makes plays like this, caught stealing at second and tagged by Hannah Cantrell. Joplin 9-run third inning was just too much, so the Eagles win 11-6. To Major League Baseball, Royals win a close one last night, 7-6 over the Guardians. Big day at the plate for the Royals. Outfielder MJ Melendez, 3-4, home run in the first, RBI single in the third, scored on an error in the fifth, and this is the third series victory in a row for KC, and the Royals go for the sweep later today. Meanwhile, in the NL Central, the Brewers get the Cardinals back 7-3 last night after losing Game 1 in that series. Not that the start that Card fans were hoping for out of Drew. Rahm, he only goes 3 1/3 inning. 4 of his 5 earned runs come across the plate in the 4th inning. He shut out Baltimore on the road a week ago. Still to come, medical experts in Mexico are conducting new tests on a pair of remains some researchers say belong to alleged extraterrestrials. Plus, we're going to have a check on the 7-day forecast when the KOAM Morning News comes back. And we've got quite a bit of rain out there this morning, including our friends down in Seneca, Missouri at Indigo Sky Casino and Resort. You see quite a bit of a wet pavement there in the parking lot. And you can see the rain coming down on our range line cam at 7th and range line with lightning in the distance. Right now we're sitting at 64 degrees. Feels like 64, of course, but look at the winds. 15, gusting at times up to 25 with some of those scattered showers and storms. Humidity's up there at 87% and the visibility at 10 miles. Radar right now is showing still some showers and storms in and around the metro area. Some lightning strikes with this activity in Crawford and Cherokee counties, extending down into Ottawa County and in Delaware County. But the back edge is slowly moving towards the east. So as we go through the morning, that will start to improve. Take a look at some of these rainfall amounts, especially in northeastern Oklahoma. These are like drought-busting rainfall accumulations amount. Let's zoom in and show you some of the heavier accumulations. 6.2 just to the west-northwest of Miami. This is radar estimated. 4.6 in and around the Miami area. Close to 6 inches down near Hart in southwestern parts of Missouri, and even up to the north in Crawford County, around 2 1/4 inches near Hepler, and then around 4 1/2 near Girard, right through Pittsburgh, down into or just east of Weir, almost 5 inches, and that extends down into Carl Junction. So plentiful rain in some isolated spots, but at least everyone got something. Temperatures right now are generally in the mid-60s across the area with east to southeast winds. And dew points are, of course, up there as well in the upper 50s and lower 60s. And the moisture is going to be with us pretty much all week into the weekend. As you can see, as we go into Sunday, we'll start to finally see some drier air moving in from the north and west. But until then, it's going to be pretty moist around here. Rain chances today are going to be highest this morning, then dropping through the afternoon, and then upticking just a little bit as we go into the overnight hours, and then dropping back down into tomorrow. Here's the storm system that's over us now. That's going to lift up towards the north and east, and then our attention is going to be turning out towards the west with this big, powerful storm system, almost spring-like, is going to pull out into the plains on Saturday afternoon. What does that mean? Well, it means it's going to drag a cold front across the central plains, and out ahead of it, we could see some severe thunderstorms develop Saturday evening into Saturday night. And of course, we'll keep an eye on them for you. Then the models are saying this low is going to kind of pivot up towards the north, and that's going to keep the moisture around here for another couple of days. But we'll have to wait and see on that. That's still a little bit far down the road. Rainfall amounts are expected to be generous once again on Saturday night into Sunday morning, with some places picking up over an inch, maybe a couple of inches in some isolated spots. And the European model is basically in agreement with that, saying a generous widespread area of rainfall once again as we head in towards the weekend. In the meantime, we're going to see partly cloudy skies this afternoon with highs in the 70s. And then as we go into tonight, scattered showers mainly down to the south with lows in the 60s. And then as we head to tomorrow afternoon, partly cloudy, isolated showers, again, mainly south. Temperatures around 80 for highs. And then as we go into Thursday night and Friday morning, scattered showers once again moving back in from the south and west. And over the next 7 days, we're looking at a better chance of storms as we go into Saturday night into Sunday with some of those quite strong or severe. We'll be back with more right after this.
Topping Health Watch this morning, vending machines designed to help people be safer if they are using drugs are now up and running in Palm Springs, California. The harm reduction vending machines are filled with free items like fentanyl testing strips and Narcan, the drug used to reverse drug overdoses. Fox's Miyoshi Price has more on the machines and how they are helping those struggling with drugs.
We're not promoting drugs or anything.
Mary Von Gard has been running the bar at Hunter's nightclub for 14 years. She says the harm reduction vending machines can help people from dying if they use some of these materials.
Maybe we can do something to help them if it happened to be something negative that's going out there in the community, and people are trying to hurt people on purpose.
We can't see what some of the items are inside the vending machine. They are color coded. Now they're created this way so that if it happens to fall out, people are not publicly shamed for what they're getting. DAP officials say the ultimate goal is to reach vulnerable communities where they are.
You're going to complete a quick 10-question anonymous survey because we need data to drive decision making, and then you're going to be able to select 3 free supplies from this machine.
At DAP Health, CJ Toby is the chief of community health. The machine has kits that promote safe drug use, HIV and drug testing, and Narcan in hopes of preventing overdoses. In a News Channel 3 report back in April, Palm Springs Police Chief Andrew Mills supports harm reduction programs, but Riverside County Sheriff Chad Bianco is against it.
A harm reduction way of saying what works and fits for you to make sure that we can reduce those negative consequences by drug use. That's what we're about.
But I don't understand some of the items that are in there, but I think the ones that I saw, people might think like fentanyl strip test, but that might be something positive for the community.
In Palm Springs, Miyoshi Price, News Channel 3.
Trying to shed some pounds? A new study reveals when you exercise could influence how much weight you lose. Researchers found the best time of day to exercise is between 7 and 9 in the morning. People who worked out then lost more weight than people who exercised during the midday or evening. Researchers base their findings on the health and activity level of more than 5,000 people from 2 decades ago. They say the results were the same regardless of sex, ethnicity, or sedentary behavior. Because their findings, the scientists say they want to conduct more research, and the study is published in the Journal of Obesity. Pharmaceutical company Eli Lilly says that it is trying to stop some businesses from marketing and selling non-FDA approved compounded products or mixed medication. The company has filed several lawsuits against certain U.S. medical spas, wellness centers, and compounding pharmacies. Eli Lilly says that they're suing to protect patients. The company is the maker of Mounjaro, an FDA-approved medicine used to treat type 2 diabetes. Eli Lilly says other companies have been marketing and selling an imitation, and says those versions do not have the active ingredient tirzepatide. They say compounded versions of tirzepatide can expose users to potentially serious health risks. The FDA has not issued a compounding warning for tirzepatide. Advisors to the Food and Drug Administration are meeting this week to discuss artificial wombs. They will look at the ethics and possibilities of creating devices to increase the chances of extremely premature babies surviving after birth. Artificial wombs are not meant to replace a pregnant mother. Instead, they would act as a womb after birth by delivering oxygen, nutrients, and hormones as the infant continues to develop vital organs. Artificial wombs have only been tested in animals. The advisors will discuss what a human trial would look like. Premature births have been a growing problem in the U.S., and according to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, they accounted for 10.5% of all babies born in 2021. Updated COVID-19 vaccines are now available. The new shots come as cases and hospitalizations are increasing and respiratory virus season is picking up. Reporter Stephanie Stahl has more.
Gigi Wah is first in line at Walgreens in Manhasset, New York, to get the updated COVID-19 vaccine.
I heard the COVID is peaking again.
The 48-year-old also opted for additional protection in her other arm, receiving her flu shot.
I don't want to get COVID. I certainly don't want to get the flu, so I'm getting both.
Updated COVID-19 vaccines are rolling out as cases and hospitalizations continue to increase. The latest CDC data shows more than 20,000 hospital admissions for COVID-19 in the first week of September. That's up 7.7% from the previous week.
We've started our respiratory illness season, and we are so busy trying to protect our neighborhood and our patients.
The CDC expects the total number of hospitalizations this year from COVID, flu, and RSV to be similar to last year, higher than levels before the pandemic. For the first time, vaccines for all 3 of the major respiratory viruses are available this fall.
One vaccine in each arm.
Pharmacy manager Helen Mazer reminds patients they can get more than one vaccine at their visit.
Not only will it save you time, but it takes 2 weeks for the vaccines to start working. So you'll be fully covered by the time the season really hits.
At 60 years old, it's recommended Ziba Rahman get the new RSV vaccine.
I have elderly parents. I have people who are immune compromised in my family, and I don't want to bring home anything.
She also got her flu shot to do everything she can to keep herself and her loved ones healthy this winter. Stephanie Stahl, CBS News.
Updated COVID-19 shots will be covered for most people through private insurance. The uninsured can receive the latest vaccine free of charge under the new Federal Bridge Access Program. And that's a look at some of today's top health stories. You're watching the KOAM Morning News.
And we're looking at the threat of severe weather as we go into the weekend. I'll be back to tell you what that means in our forecast when we come back.
Right now at 5:30, downtown Joplin looks to strike a balance between welcoming in new businesses and saying goodbye to some familiar ones.
And we have some scattered showers and thunderstorms still on radar this morning. I'll let you know how long that's going to last, as well as a look at the weekend.
Plus, the executive director of Ronald McDonald House of the Four States calls it a day after more than a quarter of a century of service.
The Four States Most Watched News starts now.
Good morning, Four States, and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. The time now is 5:30 a.m. I'm Caitlin O'Shaughnessy.
And I'm meteorologist Sam Lane, and it's been busy in the Skywatch Weather Center this morning.
Oh yes, absolutely.
Lots of thunder and lightning, but of course also lots of rainfall, which is desperately needed as we've been dealing with the drought for such a long time. And even though we've had quite a bit of rain in the metro area this morning, we still have quite a bit to catch up. So although we're very thankful for the rain this morning, we need some more, and it looks like we're going to get some over the next several days. But right now you can see most of the activity is shifting off towards the east this morning. Still a few scattered showers and storms in the metro area, but boy, what a rainstorm last night, and I'll show you the amounts in just a little bit. This afternoon, though, we're expecting the showers to be ending by around lunchtime. They should be shifting off towards the east with 74 degrees. Then around 2 o'clock, 78 degrees, 74 at 4 p.m. Sending out the kids to school this morning, you're definitely going to need the rain jacket. 64 degrees with scattered showers and storms. And then tonight, when they head home from school, we're looking at partly cloudy skies and a temperature of around 77. And looking down the lane, we're going to have the morning storms this morning, and then they'll be shifting off towards the east. Then some more showers Tuesday night late, and then a better chance of storms as we head into Saturday evening, and some of these could be severe. And I'll tell you more about that in our forecast coming up in just a little bit. Caitlin?
Thanks, Sam. Kansas Governor Laura Kelly announced the launch of the Build Kansas Fund, which will provide state matching dollars to Kansas communities for infrastructure projects. The Build Kansas Fund will invest $200 million directly into Kansas communities to support projects that include water, transportation, energy, cybersecurity, and broadband through fiscal year 2027. Eligible entities include Kansas state agencies, counties, municipalities, special districts, community organizations, nonprofits, and federally recognized tribes that have or intend to apply for federal bill program requiring a non-federal match. And you might have noticed some businesses have left or relocated from downtown Joplin. The Downtown Joplin Alliance says downtown is undergoing changes to find the right balance of businesses.
Like, Carmine's, for example, they moved out of the area completely, like the family did, and so, but another pizza place is coming in that same location, should be open in a few weeks.
One of my friends was in this place called Carmine Wood Fired, and he had a pretty good business. Of course, he was open limited hours, so we are trying to open up full days instead of just half days.
We'll have more from the Downtown Joplin Alliance later in the show. And after nearly 26 years, Annette Thurston is retiring from her role as executive director of the Ronald McDonald House of the Four States. An intimate group gathered at the Ronald McDonald House yesterday to honor Thurston's service to the community. She oversaw the foundation's establishment and has been there for a lot of achievements in the years since. But to Thurston, it all comes down to their volunteers.
The ability to ease the stress, to lift the burden that they are bearing, means everything here. It's about the care, it's about the comfort, it's about making a difference in the lives of children and families.
Thurston won't officially retire until the end of this year. In the meantime, the Succession Planning Committee will conduct a national search in the hopes of finding someone to fill Thurston's shoes. A Webb City school received a national recognition. The U.S. Department of Education named Webb City's Harry S. Truman Elementary School as a National Blue Ribbon School. The recognition is based on a school's overall academic performance or progress in closing achievement gaps among student subgroups on assessments. The school is the only one in this area and one of only 353 schools in the nation to be singled out for this honor. The Chief Justice of the Kansas Supreme Court addressed the Pittsburgh Noon Rotary Club. Chief Justice Marla Luckard talked about her road to career success, including the struggles of being a woman in the law profession and how to balance work and personal life. The event was co-sponsored by KOAM, and all women were invited to attend.
I hope that they too become committed to being part of a community of supportive women who stand together to help each other get through the life's ups and downs, celebrate the ups, work through the downs, and because all of us benefit as a community, as a state, as a country.
Other female community and business leaders also spoke at the luncheon. The theme for the event was Women Are Champs. And that's a look at our top news stories coming up this half hour on the KOAM Morning News. An American journalist jailed in Russia on espionage charges was in court yesterday. We'll have the latest. Plus, why Israel is announcing it's extending the closure of the Gaza border after a string of violent protests. We'll have the latest on that story. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. We'll be right back. Topping World Watch, an American journalist jailed in Russia on espionage charges was in court yesterday to appeal his pretrial detention. Fox News correspondent Alex Hogan has the story.
Wall Street Journal reporter Evan Gershkovich will remain behind bars in Russia after a Moscow court refused to hear his appeal Tuesday. Instead, his case was sent back to a lower court. That means the 32-year-old will remain jailed until at least November.
It is unacceptable that Evan Gershkovich and Paul Whelan still languish in Russian prisons on charges that are baseless.
Outside court, U.S. Ambassador to Russia vowed to continue working for his release. Last Friday, she visited Gershkovich for a fourth time, saying he, quote, remains strong and is keeping up with the news, including his family's visit to the United Nations last week, where they urged world leaders to take action.
We are here to remind the world that Evan is innocent and journalism is not a crime. We ask that world leaders help find a solution to secure Evan's release.
Gershkovich was arrested back in March and accused of espionage, though Russian authorities have yet to detail what evidence they have against him. It's a charge Gershkovich and the Journal firmly deny, with the U.S. government declaring him wrongfully detained. His case took center stage at the UN Tuesday morning during a Clinton Global Initiative panel on how to protect the freedom of the press.
It's a highly personal situation for him, for his family, for his colleagues, but there's also this massive underlying issue of freedom of press. Without freedom of press, no free society.
Espionage charges in Russia carry up to a 20-year sentence. There has been no date set yet for Gershkovich's trial. In London, Alex Hogan, Fox News.
Israel announcing it's extending the closure of the Gaza border after a string of violent protests. Over last week, dozens of Palestinians burning tires and hurling explosive devices at Israeli soldiers were seen streaming towards the fence separating Israel from Gaza. The closure bars entry to thousands of Palestinian laborers and comes during a sensitive holiday season in Israel that began with the Jewish New Year last week. Israel says the blockade is needed to prevent the ruling Hamas militant group from arming itself. On the sidelines of the UN General Assembly in New York, President Biden hosted a meeting with the presidents of 5 Central Asian nations referred to as the C5+1. Those countries include Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan, Turkmenistan, and Uzbekistan. Together, the president said their nations are strengthening counterterrorism cooperation as well as boosting regional economic activity. Tuesday's meeting marks the first time an American president has met with all of the leaders together since the group launched in 2015. And the union representing Canadian auto workers at Ford has reached a tentative deal with a U.S. automaker, averting a possible strike of more than 5,000 members. The Canadian union Unifor was ready to go on strike Monday night until Ford made a last-minute offer to extend talks by a day. So far, details of the deal haven't been released. A strike would have shut 3 of the Ford's Canadian factories and closed a number of parts distribution centers. It's not immediately clear what impact this deal might have on the negotiations between the UAW and Ford, as well as General Motors and Stellantis, but the issues in the Canadian labor negotiations are similar issues behind the UAW strike happening in the U.S. And is there life beyond our planet? Medical experts in Mexico are conducting new tests on a pair of remains some researchers say belong to alleged extraterrestrials. This after the bodies generated strong mixed reactions after being shown to the Mexican Congress last week. Fox News' Ted Linder takes a look at the latest findings.
This lab in Mexico is the site of a series of out-of-this-world tests as doctors carefully analyze the remains of 2 alleged non-human beings. The small, thin, gray bodies with 3 fingers on each hand resemble what many people consider a stereotypical alien. They were presented to the Mexican Congress last week by a journalist and UFO enthusiast who said the remains were discovered in Peru back in 2017. He also claims a past radiocarbon test shows the bodies are up to 1,800 years old.
It's the queen of all evidence. If the DNA is showing us that they are not human beings and that there's nothing that looks like this in the world, we should take it as such.
Peruvian officials previously said the objects were nothing more than man-made dolls covered with paper and glue. But now, new X-ray scans are revealing closer details about what's actually inside.
In the 3 studies, we tried to see the structure of the skeleton of these bodies, and we were able to determine that it does indeed belong to a single skeleton that has not been joined to other pieces.
The bodies don't have teeth, but researchers say one of them appears to have what could be eggs in its abdomen. Their existence has triggered controversy across the scientific community, with many people still not convinced they're real and calling for more tests. Meanwhile, doctors say these recent scans show
there is no evidence of any assembly or manipulation of the skull.
Ted Linder, Fox News.
That's a look at some of your biggest headlines from around the world. We'll be right back.
All right, good morning and welcome back to the KOAM Morning News. We have a little bit of breaking news in association with the weather, possibly in the Asbury area, Missouri 171 down to 1 lane due to an overturned 18-wheeler, possibly due to hydroplaning. We do have some rain in that area right now, and the rain is continuing this morning as it shifts off towards the east, zooming in on some of the heavier showers down in Ottawa County, from just around the Miami area over towards Seneca and Hart, down in northern Delaware County, extending into southwestern McDonald County. By this afternoon, though, those showers will start to move off towards the east, and by around lunchtime, we're looking at 74 degrees, partly cloudy by this afternoon with 78 around 2 o'clock and then 74 by 4 p.m. But if you head out this morning with the kids for the school bus, we're looking at 64 degrees with scattered showers and storms, so you're definitely going to need a rain jacket and an umbrella. And then as we head home from school, looking pretty good. Partly cloudy skies with highs in the upper 70s. Looking down the lane, we're looking at some morning storms this morning, and then Tuesday some showers later on, and then stormy weather on Saturday, especially Saturday night. And some of that storm activity on Saturday could be severe weather. And of course, I'll give more details on that in just a little bit. If you give me just a second, I'm going to switch computers here real quick and show you what we are expecting as far as across the area. Right now in Seneca, Missouri, we're looking at temperatures in the 70s and 60s right now, but this afternoon we're going to be looking at 70 degrees. And taking a look at Seneca, you can see the pavement there wet at Indigo Sky Casino and Resort. 63 in Joplin right now, southeast winds at 9. You can see lots of lightning out there still, humidity at 90%. Here's a look at the radar. You can see the storms basically right now from Pittsburgh to Columbus to Joplin to Miami down to Grove. The back edge of this is moving towards the east ever so slowly, but look at the rainfall amounts. Several places receiving several inches, especially in northeastern Oklahoma, where radar estimates over 6 inches in western parts of Ottawa County, around 5 inches in Miami, and close to 6 inches in southwestern Missouri. And also a swath of some heavy rain from just south of Hepler to Girard to Pittsburgh down to Weir, some places picking up close to 5 inches. and that's the reason why we had some of those flash flood warnings earlier this morning. Temperatures are in the mid-60s right now, and dew points are in the 60s and upper 50s, so there's lots of moisture out there, and the moisture is going to be with us for the next several days as we go through time. Notice as we go into Saturday and Sunday, though, drier air starts to move in from the west, and that's going to spark off some thunderstorms Saturday afternoon and evening. But we're going to see rain chances decreasing through the morning and then staying low through most of the afternoon and then upticking a little bit overnight, especially down to the south. And looking at the upper flow, you can see the storm system over us now lifting towards the north, and then we have another weak system coming through as we go into Thursday, and then a bigger storm system on Saturday. And as it comes out into the plains, it'll drag a dry line into our area, and we're expecting thunderstorms to develop along that dry line, and some of those storms could be severe with all modes of severe weather. In fact, here's a look at the Storm Prediction Center outlook for Saturday evening, and that includes basically all of our area except for maybe Benton County in northwestern Arkansas, with all of the threats there, including the possibility of tornadoes. So hopefully nothing like that, but we'll keep an eye on them. Rainfall amounts with that system is expected to be generous, especially to the south, according to the GFS model, with some models forecasting over 3 inches of rain in some isolated spots. And the European is not as aggressive, but still very generous with some isolated amounts up to 3 inches. Rain is going to be shifting to the east today with temperatures in the upper 70s to around 80 degrees, especially out to the west. Then tomorrow morning, scattered showers to the south with lows in the 60s. Tomorrow afternoon, partly cloudy with highs around 80. And then as we go into Friday morning, scattered showers developing down to the south and west with temperatures in the 60s. And over the next 7 days, here's a look at the forecast. We're looking at a better chance of storms again on Saturday afternoon and evening. Some of those could be strong with a high of 84, and then drier early part of next week. We'll be back with more right after this.
An exotic python was recently found in a car engine. This took place in Green Bay, Wisconsin. Tyler Job has more on this interesting rescue.
It's kind of scary. I never thought anybody would be able to find a python underneath their hood of their car.
Ellen Shador didn't find the exotic animal, but lives near the 2300 block of Pecan Street where the snake was found.
For one thing, I don't like snakes. Another thing, it just seems so unreal.
It's not a common thing that we see.
As someone who's worked at the Bay Beach Wildlife Sanctuary for 25 years, curator Lori Bankson says this rescue was a rarity.
The owner of the vehicle was not the owner of the snake.
Bankson says the python somehow got loose. She says the snake was first seen in the garage before eventually being found under the hood of a car.
Most likely the snake crawled up into this person's engine of the car to stay warm and found a good place to hang out for a little while.
Bankson says the car owner safely drove over to the wildlife sanctuary with the reptile. Pecan Street is more than 4 miles away from the sanctuary.
They gave the okay that, yeah, the snake should be fine if you drive the car over.
Bankson, along with a colleague and animal control, safely removed the python. She says the snake is now being cared for at a rescue.
Eventually, then we'll be given a good home. They'll find a home for it.
Police say the reptile was a 7-foot-long jungle carpet python. Bankson says the snake is from Australia. So how did the python make it all the way over here?
From what I understand, this is a very popular animal in the exotic pet field and exotic pet trade.
Green Bay City Code explains that a permit is required for people to keep exotic animals. Police say there is not a known permit for this kind of snake, but despite some legal questions surrounding this rescue, Bankson says nobody was injured.
It was an exciting afternoon, but we're glad it went well.
Well, first there was snakes on a plane, now there's snakes on a car engine. What's next? Snakes on a boat? We'll be right back after this. Hopefully you're hungry and hopefully you like rice, because today is National Fried Rice Day. Observed every year on September 20th, fried rice, a fan favorite for eating out or ordering in, consists of long grain rice, peas, carrots, eggs, and onions. Meat is optional, but the dish often includes chicken, shrimp, or beef. The National Day was founded by the Japanese steakhouse Benihana, but fried rice is an essential part of many Asian cuisines. So whether you cook it at home, order takeout, or sit down at your favorite restaurant, enjoy a steaming bowl of fried rice today. And people are also celebrating one of the world's favorite foods today because it's also Pepperoni Pizza Day. According to the National Day calendar, pepperoni is the most popular type of pizza ever created. It is also believed that pepperoni pizza was invented in 1889 to honor the Queen of Italy, Margherita of Savoy. To celebrate, you can make it a pizza night with family or friends, maybe go out to a pizzeria or make them at home. And if you share your festivities on social media, remember to use the hashtag #PepperoniPizzaDay when posting.
Might be some soggy pizza out there with all the rainfall that we've had, but by this afternoon that will shift off towards the east with temperatures in the 70s, upper 70s out to the west, maybe an 80-degree reading here or there. But then as we go into tonight and tomorrow morning, scattered showers again, mainly to the south, with temperatures in the 60s and 70s. And then tomorrow afternoon, we're looking at partly cloudy skies with highs in and around 80 degrees. And then as we go into Thursday night and Friday mornings, more scattered showers developing, especially to the south and west, with temperatures in the 60s. And then as we go over the next 7 days, we're looking at a better chance of showers and storms on Saturday, especially Saturday evening and into Sunday morning. Some of those storms could be strong or severe, so we'll keep an eye on that for you. Could even see an alert day issued for that. We'll have to wait and see on that. Then drier as we head towards the early part of next week with some more showers Wednesday and Thursday. We'll be back with more right after this.
Right now at 6, a race involving underage drivers in Jasper County, Missouri ends with the crash of a pickup.
And we're looking at showers and thunderstorms this morning, but they're starting to move out of our area. But as more rain on the way, I'll have the forecast.
Plus, we'll hear from some of the people planning their next move after the closing of a pair of businesses in Baxter Springs.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning, 4 states, and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. The time now is 6 a.m. I'm Caitlin O'Shaughnessy.
And I'm meteorologist Sam Lane, and it's been a busy morning in the Skywatch Weather Center with lots of showers and storms.
True.
But we need the rainfall, that's for sure. We don't need the severe weather. We've had some flash flooding in some isolated spots. Let's take a look right now and show you what's been going on over the last few hours. You can see this spinning motion on the radar, and that's because this is what we call an MCV, a mesoscale convective vortmax, basically vorticity center, that's moving off towards the north and east. And you can see these spiraling arms of precipitation around that. We still have some activity in and around the metro area, zooming in on some of that stronger activity in Ottawa County, just to the east of Miami towards Seneca, to Hart, down towards Coy, to the east of Grove now, a pretty strong cell there, moving off into western parts of Missouri. One good thing with the rainfall is it's washing out a lot of the pollen. So today we're only expecting around 3.4 on the scale. Tomorrow a little bit moderate with 6.2, most of that being ragweed, chenopod, and nettle. Your bus stop forecast looks like this. Sending the kids out, you're definitely going to need an umbrella and a raincoat with temperatures in the mid-60s with rainfall. And then we head home tonight. Temperatures in the mid to upper 70s with partly cloudy skies, looking pretty good. Looking at the afternoon forecast, lunchtime, the shower should be moving to the east, and then 78 by 2 o'clock, 74 by 4 p.m. So we have the rain and the storms this morning, then some more showers Tuesday late, and then a better chance of storms on Saturday evening. And some of these storms on Saturday night could be strong or even severe with all modes of severe weather possible. So we'll have to keep an eye on that, and I'll detail you on the severe weather threat a little bit later. Back to you.
Thanks, Sam. Another person is sentenced for the death of a woman who was kidnapped and shot after being forced into a well in Lawrence County, Missouri. Frank Sheridan pleaded guilty to 1 count of kidnapping in the 2020 death of Sarah Pascoe of Aurora. A judge Monday suspended his 15-year sentence and gave him 5 years probation. In 2020, authorities say 9 people played a role in Pascoe's shooting death. They were also involved in the non-fatal shooting of another woman. Of the 9 originally charged with first-degree murder, Sheridan was released in January of 2022 on his own recognizance after he agreed to testify against the other defendants. A Sunday night race involving young drivers in Jasper County, Missouri ends with the crash of a pickup truck. Authorities responded to reports of a rollover crash at 13th and Palomino Road in Carthage just after 9 p.m. Sunday night. Authorities say a 14-year-old boy driving a Toyota Tacoma overturned while racing a Chevy Tahoe driven by a 12-year-old. 2 14-year-olds were taken to an area hospital with moderate injuries. A Kirbyville business owner is sentenced for illegally tampering with emissions controls. Dennis Cleveland was sentenced to 2 years in federal prison without parole. The court also ordered Cleveland to pay a $250,000 fine. He was the owner of a Kirbyville, Missouri towing company. A judge today sentenced him for leading a conspiracy to illegally tamper with the emissions controls of the company's diesel towing vehicles. According to court documents, each one of the Cleveland's 12 illegally altered tow trucks was responsible for releasing the equivalent pollution at over 1,000 legally operating tow trucks. And multiple states, including all 4 in our area, have reached a settlement with finance company resolving an investigation into the company's advertising businesses. The investigation revealed that Tempo's marketing and sales practices often misled consumers to believe that they were signing up for an installment plan or credit sale, when in reality they were entering into a lease agreement. Under the terms of the settlement, Tempo is permanently banned from engaging in future consumer leasing activities. Tempo will pay a total of $1 million to the states and jurisdictions participating in this settlement and $1 million to the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. An Arkansas high school teacher has been working on a repopulation of an endangered species of snake. Russellville High School teacher Chance Duncan has been diligently working on reproducing Louisiana pine snakes for years. Duncan had a breakthrough this summer when a female snake laid some eggs, which have now hatched, leading to 4 baby Louisiana pine snakes.
They are Louisiana pine snakes. They are probably the rarest snake in the country. I have been working on this project producing Louisiana pine snakes since 2016. I obtained my first one, the female that's in this box right here.
Russellville High School is believed to be the first secondary educational institution in the world to produce a critically endangered snake species. Now students at the school will extract DNA from the baby snakes to confirm that they are indeed pine snakes. A lot of families in the Baxter Springs, Kansas area are in a race to find jobs. In 9 days, National Safety Apparel, previously known as King Louie, in Baxter Springs will close its doors, leaving more than 70 people unemployed. But they're not alone. At the end of July, trucking company Yellow Corporation also ceased its operation, leaving more than 30 people out of work in the city. KOAM's Fernanda Silva has the story.
Less than half a mile separates the entrances of Yellow Corporation and National Safety Apparel in Baxter Springs. Besides sharing the location by the end of September, the companies will also share the fact that both will be closed, leaving more than 100 people unemployed. Teresa Humphrey is one of them. She has been working with NSA for more than 35 years. Now she's trying to plan her future.
It's sad, makes me want to cry. It's emotional. Don't know what to expect. I'm scared because I don't know what to expect. Just gonna stay here and work as long as I can.
While many employees like Humphrey decided to stay at the company until the very last day, others left earlier as they were finding other opportunities. Her husband is one of them.
It was relief, yeah, because it was pretty stressful. It was very stressful for me, for my family, my friends, my household.
0.4 miles from there is Yellow Corporation, where David Harper spent the last 10 years working. Now in a new job, he's feeling the impact on his routine.
I was home every day. Now I'm gone 4 days at a time, and I'm not used to it yet. I'm getting there. I miss my house, I miss my wife, I miss my dogs.
And on his paycheck.
The money I'm making now is nowhere near what I make.
This is the sign now standing by the entrance of former Yellow Corporation in Baxter Springs. It says that all company operations have ceased as of July 30th. According to Amy Kaufman, Economic Development Director for Cherokee County, the impacts of the closure go beyond the company workers.
With reduced consumer spending, also reduced tax revenue, with that business not there, not paying taxes, that's going to affect spending as well and our economy ultimately.
Even with the difficulties, Humphrey and Harper echo the same thought.
It'll be hard for a little bit, but we'll survive.
We'll get there.
In Baxter Springs, Fernanda Silva, KOAM News.
Kaufman says people who are impacted by the closures can contact Cherokee County's Economic Development Office or the Pittsburgh Work Center. They can help build a resume, apply and search for jobs, and even provide additional training. That's a look at this morning's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Coming up on the KOAM Morning News. Why climate change is the big focus at the United Nations General Assembly gathering. Plus why a former Republican congressman will spend nearly 2 years in prison for insider trading. And meteorologist Sam Lane returns with another look at your Wednesday forecast. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. We'll be right back. Topping Nation Watch this morning, the Utah woman accused of killing her husband with a fentanyl overdose and now witness tampering claims a handwritten letter found in her jail cell was part of a fictional book she was writing. That's according to a memorandum filed by Utah state prosecutors on Tuesday. Corey Richens allegedly wrote a 6-page letter to her mother with instructions for her brother to, quote, testify falsely, end quote. In the letter, she allegedly asks her brother to link her late husband getting drugs and pills from Mexico to the fentanyl that caused his death. Richens is accused of poisoning her husband, Eric Richens, with an overdose of fentanyl given to him in a drink the night he died. She is currently in custody facing murder and drug charges. She has yet to enter a plea. Richens is also accused of destroying evidence. A former Republican congressman will spend nearly 2 years in prison for insider trading. Stephen Byer was sentenced to 22 months in New York on Tuesday. Byer was convicted of trading inside information he learned as a consultant ahead of 2 separate companies' mergers. The 64-year-old was convicted in March on 4 counts of misappropriating non-public information for his former consulting clients. The 9-term former congressman represented Indiana and left office in 2011. Today, climate change is the big focus at the United Nations General Assembly gathering in New York. It comes after major speeches yesterday from both President Biden and the President of Ukraine, calling for continued unity against Russia. CBS News' Jared Hill has more from New York.
World leaders at the United Nations General Assembly will hold a climate action summit today, just weeks after the UN declared this summer the hottest on record.
We need to continue tackling the challenges that most affect people's lives, from conflict to climate change to corruption and beyond.
President Biden spoke at a leaders gathering at the Metropolitan Museum of Art last night, hours after taking center stage at the UN to push for continued support of Ukraine against Russia's invasion.
We have to stand up to this naked aggression today and deter other would-be aggressors tomorrow.
Ukraine's president doubled down on that message.
While Russia is pushing the world to the final war, Ukraine is doing everything to ensure that after Russian aggression, no one in the world will dare to attack any nation.
Already, Ukraine has received hundreds of billions of dollars in international aid. Now, House Republican leaders are questioning President Biden's request for another $24 billion package.
Where's the accountability on the money we already spent? What is the plan for victory? I think that's what the American public wants to know.
Yesterday, President Biden also said he's committed to making sure Iran never gets its hands on a nuclear weapon, as 5 Americans who spent years wrongfully detained by Tehran finally arrived home on U.S. soil. Jared Hill, CBS News, New York.
Today, President Biden is expected to meet with the leaders of Israel and Brazil before returning to Washington later this evening. Ukraine's president is expected to visit the White House tomorrow. And that's a look at some of today's top national stories. Now, here's Sam with a look at your forecast.
All right, we're looking at right now Seneca, Missouri, Indigo Sky Casino and Resort. We have some rain out there on the pavement, and we're going to see the rain continuing for this morning. But by afternoon, we're going to see partly cloudy skies start to take over across our area. Right now in Joplin, we're sitting at 64 degrees, south wind, and the visibility is at 10 miles, and the humidity is at 87%. But the rain should start to move out of our area. You can see right now on radar, you can see them scattered across the metro area, and that will move off towards the east as we go through the mid-morning and late morning hours. And of course, we'll have more details in your forecast, including a look at the weekend with the threat of severe weather, and we'll have all that when we come back in just a little bit.
We have breaking news this morning as traffic is down to 1 lane in Asbury, Missouri. At about 4:15 a.m. Wednesday, reports of a tractor-trailer rollover crash near the Asbury Quick Stop on MO 171 alerted Jasper County 911. Asbury Fire and Rescue, Jasper County deputies, and METS ambulance responded. Missouri State Highway Patrol were notified, and we'll have more details as they become available. And tens of thousands of puzzle pieces all assembled into one massive display, and all by one person. One woman in Texas with something of a puzzle obsession just finished that masterpiece, the product of years of effort. Daniela Hurtado reports.
Right now, this is what what she just finished today, a puzzle with more than 40,000 pieces. I can tell you that this in length is more than 20 feet and in width more than 6 feet. So this is a massive masterpiece. And you can see, of course, Disney related, kind of with all the Disney movies, your favorite childhood movies. And of course, we do have to mention that Disney is our parent company here at ABC 13. Just want to show you just the beauty that is this puzzle. So after taking more than 3 years to build this huge masterpiece that I was telling her parents, that looks like a rug to me. That's how massive this is. We were asking her, what are you going to do with this now? She tells us that the Beauty and the Beast scene that she built out is her favorite one. She's going to frame it. She's going to keep that one. But as for the other 9 scenes, she's still trying to figure out what she's going to do.
I had run out of puzzles to do. I was borrowing them from coworkers and friends and buying them from thrift stores, and I started doing them upside down and realized I needed to get something a little bigger to take up more time, and this one definitely did that.
And naturally, the next question is, what is she going to do with this enormous puzzle? Is it going to stay in the middle of the living room? Well, she does tell us that this Beauty and the Beast scene she's going to keep. She's going to frame and keep it forever. But what about the other 9 scenes? All of them taking, again, more than 3 years to build out.
Emily may be done with that puzzle, but now she's taking on a new challenge. It's a puzzle called Around the World and consists of even more pieces, some 42,000 in all.
All right now it's Seneca, Missouri. We're looking at cloudy skies and rain falling still across the area. I'll be back with a look at your forecast when we come back. Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News. We still have some showers and thunderstorms out there, including Seneca, Missouri, at Indigo Sky Casino and Resort. Quite a bit of wet pavement down there. Right now in Joplin, we're sitting at 64 degrees with a south wind at 8 with lightning in the distance there. 60 degrees on the dew point, so the humidity is pretty high at 87%. Radar right now showing the back edge of the showers and storms now moving through southeastern parts of Cherokee County in through the Joplin metro area down towards Neosho and also down near just east of Grove in the Pineville area. A little bit wider view shows 2 swaths of very heavy rainfall from the system from northeastern Nowata County right through northern Craig, Ottawa County, northern Delaware, McDonald County into northwest Arkansas, and then another swath up in southeastern Kansas. Zooming in on some of the heaviest activity, rainfall estimates according to the radar close to 7 inches in Ottawa County. So if you're traveling this morning, just be watchful of the ponding on the roads, and if there is water going across the roads, definitely turn around, don't drown. There's more than one way generally to get somewhere, so just take it easy out there if you're traveling out and about this morning in Ottawa County. In southeastern Kansas, we have a swath of heavy rain from near Girard through Pittsburgh down towards Carl Junction with rainfall estimates around 4.5 to 5 inches. The rain is going to be dropping off this morning, and then as we go through the afternoon in the low category, maybe ticking up a little bit tomorrow night, or actually tonight into the early morning hours down to the south. Temperatures right now are in the 60s across the area. Dew points are pretty high too, in the upper 50s to 60s. And as we go through the next several days, the moisture is still going to be around on the dew points. But notice on Saturday, there's going to be quite a contrast between very moist air and dry air off to the west. That's the dry line, and that's why we're thinking the threat of severe weather is going to be there on Saturday night. We'll take a closer look at that. Here's today's system. That moves out. Then a bigger, stronger storm system moves out into the plains on Saturday, and that's when we're looking at the threat of severe weather across our area with all modes possible. In fact, the Storm Prediction Center, here's the outlook area, which encompasses all of us, with the most threat being heavy rainfall, but all of the threats are there, including the possibility of tornadoes. Rainfall amounts are expected to be very generous with that system, with several inches possible in some isolated spots, especially to the south, and that's concurred with the European model. So today we're going to be seeing partly cloudy skies with temperatures in the 70s, and then we're going to see some scattered showers possible tomorrow down to the south with lows in the 60s. Now let's go over to Caitlin with this morning's Health Watch.
Thanks, Sam. The World Health Organization says 76 million deaths could be averted by 2050 if treatment for high blood pressure improves. A report from the WHO shows about 80% of people with hypertension are not being adequately treated, and half of all people who have the condition don't even know it. Hypertension can lead to stroke, heart attack, kidney damage, and other serious issues. On that same note, the U.S. Preventative Services Task Force is recommending screening for hypertension disorders throughout pregnancy. This even goes for people without chronic hypertension. The report from the independent panel of medical experts recommends doctors check blood pressure to monitor for related disorders like preeclampsia. And having good oral health increases the chance of surviving cancers of the neck and head. According to a study published in the Journal of the National Cancer Institute, people who visited the dentist more than 5 times in the decade prior to diagnosis had a 60% survival rate 10 years later, compared to just 32% for those with no visits. And more than 700 children were killed in a car accident in the U.S. in 2021, and of those killed, more than 36% weren't properly buckled up. According to the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, in honor of Child Passenger Safety Week, Mandy Gaither has 5 steps to keep kids safe in a vehicle.
They can greatly increase the chances of survival in a crash, but car seats have to be properly installed. Safe Kids Worldwide says 5 steps can save a life. First, select the proper seat. Check labels to make sure it's the right one for your child. It varies based on age, weight, and height. And always follow manufacturer's instructions not only for the car seat, but also for your vehicle.
The most important thing is to figure out how your either seatbelts or lower anchors lock.
Next, make sure your child is facing the proper direction. Keep babies rear facing as long as possible until they've outgrown height and weight requirements.
The way that they're made, they help protect the baby's head, neck, and spinal cord until they get a little bit bigger.
Then move on to forward facing with a harness, followed by a booster seat until the child can fit into a seatbelt. Third, focus on location. The back seat is always safest, as airbags can be dangerous to a child in a car seat. Next, adjust the harness appropriately. It should lay flat.
Those straps should come out about right at the shoulder level or slightly below for rear facing. If we have forward facing car seats with a harness, you want that right at or slightly above.
But follow manufacturer's guidelines, as the safest fit can vary with the car seat. And finally, make the seat snug.
Where you can't pinch the straps at the harness, and make sure there are no gaps in the rest of the harness either.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
Safe Kids Worldwide says that as the weather starts to get cooler, remember to take off coats before putting your child in a car seat. The organization says it's important to have bulky clothing removed before the harness, since it'll affect the snugness of your child's seat. And that's a look at some of today's top health stories. We'll be right back. Right now at 6:30, downtown Joplin looks to strike a balance between welcoming in new businesses and saying goodbye to some familiar ones.
And we're going to say goodbye to this round of rain later on this morning, but we still have some showers and thunderstorms on forecast, and I'll tell you all about that when we come back.
Plus, the executive director of Ronald McDonald House of the 4 states calls it a day after more than a quarter of a century of service.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning, 4 states, and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. The time now is 6:31 a.m. I'm Caitlin O'Shaughnessy.
And I'm meteorologist Sam Lane, and we've been watching the radar quite a bit this morning. Lots of rainfall out there, and some places getting too much rain in a short period of time, and as a result, some flash flooding going on. And so if you're driving this morning, watch out for the hydroplaning as well. You can see over the last few hours, most of this now is starting to shift off towards the east, but we still have some activity in and around the metro area. It's all circulating around a mesoconvective vortex that's kind of spiraling up across central Missouri. That's pulling away, but we have more showers and thunderstorms in our forecast. Zooming in on some of the activity right now, around Seneca, you can see a few lightning bolts there, extending down into McDonald County in the western parts of the county near Pineville over the next few hours. And bus stop forecast still have the showers and thunderstorms this morning with temperatures in the mid-60s, but by afternoon that should move off towards the east and we'll be left with partly cloudy skies with temperatures in the mid-70s. And taking a look at your lunchtime forecast, those showers should be gone by around lunchtime. 74 degrees, 78 this afternoon, and a high of around 77, 78 degrees, 74 at 4 o'clock. Looking down the lane, we have some morning storms and then Tuesday showers late into Tuesday. Actually, this should say Thursday. Thursday showers late into Friday morning. More storms possible Saturday night, and some of these storms on Saturday could be severe, and I'll tell you what that means in our forecast in just a little bit. Caitlin?
Thanks, Sam. Kansas Governor Laura Kelly announced the launch of the Build Kansas Fund, which will provide state-watching dollars to Kansas communities for infrastructure projects. The Build Kansas Fund will invest $200 million directly into Kansas communities to support projects that include water, transportation, energy, cybersecurity, and broadband through fiscal year 2027. Eligible entities include Kansas state agencies, counties, municipalities, special districts, community organizations, nonprofits, and federally recognized tribes that have or intend to apply for a federal bill program requiring a non-federal match. And you might have noticed some businesses have left or relocated from downtown Joplin. The Downtown Joplin Alliance says downtown is undergoing changes to find the right balance of businesses.
Like, Carmine's, for example, they moved out of the area completely, like the family did. But another pizza place is coming in that same location, should be open in a few weeks.
One of my friends was in this place called Carmine Wood-Fired, and he had a pretty good business. Of course, he was open limited hours. So we are trying to open up full days instead of just half days.
We'll have more from the Downtown Joplin Alliance when the KOAM Morning News switches to Fox 14. After nearly 26 years, Annette Thurston is retiring from her role as executive director of the Ronald McDonald House of the Four States. An intimate group gathered at the Ronald McDonald House to honor Thurston's service to the community. Thurston oversaw the foundation's establishment and has been there for a lot of achievements in the years since. One of them came when she led her team of more than 100 volunteers to continue to serve families during the recent COVID-19 pandemic. But to Thurston, it all comes down to their volunteers.
You're never alone in your accomplishments. Your accomplishments, it's a team effort, it is a people effort, and so it's very humbling to be singled out.
Thurston won't officially retire until the end of this year. In the meantime, the Succession Planning Committee will conduct a national search in the hopes of finding someone to fill Thurston's shoes. A Webb City school received a national recognition. The U.S. Department of Education named Webb City's Harry S. Truman Elementary School as a National Blue Ribbon School. The recognition is based on a school's overall academic performance or progress in closing achievement gaps among student subgroups on assessments. The school is the only one in this area and one of only 353 schools in the nation to be singled out for this honor. The Chief Justice of the Kansas Supreme Court addressed the Pittsburgh Noon Rotary Club. Chief Justice Marla Luckard talked about her road to career success, including the struggles of being a woman in the law profession and how to balance work and personal life. She also talked about her daily goal for the court.
My goal every day is to make the justice system of Kansas do a better job of serving the people who use the court system. So whether it be as a juror, as a witness, or as a litigant, or just someone who has questions and needs information.
The theme for the event was Women Are Champs. And that's a look at our top news stories coming up this half hour on the KOAM Morning News. Artificial intelligence and our national security. What are the risks of the new age of innovation?
And we have a beautiful forecast for this afternoon, but looking stormy this morning in some places, and I'll tell you all about that when we come back.
In Consumer Watch this morning, artificial intelligence and our national security. What are the risks of the new age of innovation? And how can AI potentially help our national defense? Today, senators are seeking more ways to minimize potential dangers in a Senate intelligence hearing. Mike Valerio has the angles covered for us from Silicon Valley and from today's action on Capitol Hill.
From Silicon Valley to the Senate.
We must equally grapple with the disruptions, ethical dilemmas, and potential dangers of this technology.
Experts described the need to regulate AI so that the breathtaking speed and breadth of tasks AI can perform helps, not harms, national security.
In the 21st century, the general or spy who doesn't have a model by their side is basically as helpless as a blind man in a bar fight.
Even President Biden at the UN General Assembly today, speaking of a need
to make sure we govern this technology, not the other way around, having it govern us.
The Pentagon's chief digital and AI officer told the House last week AI should not be viewed as an all-encompassing solution or a fearful spring of problems.
It is very important to remember that AI is neither a panacea nor a Pandora's box. And if we think about it that way, we're not thinking about it correctly and we're not going to be able to tackle the problem.
But what we've seen so far from Washington is trouble identifying which AI risks need to be regulated, largely because AI's capabilities are constantly changing.
AI's risks are broad because its applications are so broad, and these risks range from risks related to fraud and information integrity. They include risks related to safety and security.
And senators have said that they hope to have regulations on this front crafted in a matter of months rather than a matter of years. In Los Angeles, I'm Mike Valerio. Back to you.
Kraft Heinz is voluntarily recalling more than 80,000 cases of individually wrapped American cheese slices. The company discovered that one of its wrapping machines allowed for thin strips of film to remain on cheese slices after the wrapper is removed, causing a choking hazard. The recall applies to 16-ounce and 3-pound multi-packs of Kraft Singles American pasteurized prepared cheese products with use dates by January 2024. Consumers can return the recalled products to the store for an exchange or refund. And if you're looking to make some extra cash for the holidays, several major retailers are hiring seasonal workers. Amazon says it wants to bring on roughly 250,000 employees in cities around the U.S. Target is hoping to hire around 100,000 workers, and Macy's announced it wants to employ about 38,000 workers. And when it comes to remote versus in-office debate, some Americans commute to work. Just over 2/3 of Americans say they are required to commute more than they'd like. That's according to a new survey from Fiverr. The same percentage of people believe they could finish their work in 4 days versus a 5-day work week. And that's it for consumer news. Now let's take it over to Sam with another look at your forecast.
And if you are commuting this morning, it's going to be some wet pavement out there, so definitely take it easy, especially with a lot of the ponding on the roads in Ottawa County and southwestern parts of Missouri, with the rain still coming down, including Indigo Sky Casino and Resort just outside of Seneca, Missouri. You can see the thunderstorms there in the distance with some lightning flashes as well. 64 right now in Joplin, south wind at 8, dew point is 60, humidity's up there at 87%. Looking at radar, you can see the activity right now on the Missouri-Oklahoma Kansas line area in southwestern parts of the metro area, extending right down into south and western parts of McDonald County in northwestern Arkansas. Rainfall amounts have been very generous, especially in two swaths, basically running from northeastern Ottawa County, Nowata County, right through Ottawa into northwestern Arkansas, and then another swath in southeastern parts of Crawford County. Zooming in on some of that activity, you can see that the radar is estimating close to 7 inches in the purple here from just northwest of Miami, right through Miami, right down into the southeastern parts of Ottawa County, into western McDonald County. And then in southeastern Crawford County, radar is estimating anywhere from around 4 inches to west of Girard, right to around 5 inches in Pittsburgh, and 4.5 to 5 inches there just east of Weir. So as a result, we have some flash flood warnings in effect for extreme southern parts of Bourbon County, also in Crawford County and northern Cherokee County, and then another advisory for all of McDonald County and a sliver of Newton County, and then a flood watch is in effect for our northeastern Oklahoma counties, as well as Benton County in northwestern Arkansas. course, we're going to have more details on all of this, as well as what it means for the forecast, including today, and then another chance of showers as we go into tomorrow night into Friday morning, but a better chance of rain as we go into the weekend, especially on Saturday, where we have the threat of severe weather as well. Of course, we're going to have more on that in just a little bit, but let's take a look and see what's going on at CBS Mornings.
Hello to you, I'm Gail King. Coming right up on CBS Mornings, award-winning chef Jose Andres joins us with his new cookbook. It's inspired by his work volunteering on the front lines following disasters all around the world. It seems like he's everywhere. Why? Because he is. That's coming right up on CBS Mornings, your favorite morning show.
Duh.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News. It's birthday time. We have Houston Zimmerman turning 5 years old in Humboldt, Kansas this morning. Happy birthday, Houston.
And over in McCune, Kansas, Dominic Stewart turns 9. Happy birthday, Dominic.
And Bria Miller turning 10 years old in Seneca, Missouri. Happy birthday from Mom, Dad, Ken, Bella, and of course, Nanny.
And taking it over to Golden City, Missouri, Kingston Stafford turns 13. He has a note that says, happy birthday, love your family.
Michael Smith turning the sweet 16 over in Weir, Kansas today. Happy birthday, Michael.
All right, and Jonathan Adam turns 18. We are so proud and blessed to call you our son. Love, Mom and Dad. Very sweet.
And Hannah Bailey turning 18 years old in Girard, Kansas. Happy birthday, Hannah.
Taking it over to Parsons, happy 33rd birthday to Jessica Anderson.
And Brenda Sperling having a great birthday today. Happy birthday, Brenda.
Cheers, Brenda. And over in Columbus, Kansas, happy birthday to Joanna Richards.
And 20th anniversary today with Corey and Tricia Largent in Parsons, Kansas. Happy anniversary to you both.
All right, and over in Girard, happy 50th anniversary to Dave and Kathy Carr. Love your family. And
Big
great
golden
photo.
anniversary there.
Oh, yes.
And Judy Bean in Thayer, Kansas. Happy birthday to you from love sent from your husband David and the whole Thayer community.
I love that. Well, if you want to give you or your loved ones a shout out for their special day, please send us some pictures and notes to birthdays@koamnewsnow.com.
All right, let's take a look at some flash flood warnings that are in effect for parts of our area this morning. You can see that they're in southeastern Kansas. That goes until 10 a.m. this morning, and that does include the Pittsburgh area. And then a warning also for McDonald County and a sliver of Newton County. That goes until 10 a.m. And then a flash flood watch is in effect for Nowata, Craig, Ottawa, Delaware, and Benton counties, and that goes until 10 o'clock this morning as well. We're going to see rain chances decreasing as we go through the morning, and by afternoon they should be on the low side, then upticking a little bit as we go into the overnight hours, especially down to our south. But for the most part, the heaviest rain is going to be over for this particular round, but we have more in our forecast. But right now we're looking at temperatures in the mid 60s, and dew points are also in the upper 50s to lower 60s, and the dew points are going to be with us as far as that goes until about Saturday and Sunday, and that's going to be pushed by a dry line slamming into that, and that means severe weather is going to be possible on Saturday night, and then the dry air will eventually work its way into our area by the time we go into Monday. But today we have this storm system that's over us now. That's lifting to the north, and then we're going to be waiting for this bigger, stronger storm system moving out into the plains on Saturday, dragging with it the dry line and cold front. And that's what we're expecting the severe weather to occur Saturday evening into the overnight hours on Saturday. And you can see the risk area includes all of our region except for Benton County, Arkansas, but wouldn't be surprised to see them included a little bit later. And all threats are possible on Saturday evening, with the biggest threat being the heavy rainfall, and there's a moderate risk of that. Looking at the rainfall amounts forecasted, look at this, over 3 inches possible in some isolated spots according to the GFS model, and the European model is also very generous with the rainfall amounts on Saturday, with some areas picking up over 3 inches. So we'll have to watch that as we go or get a little bit closer. This afternoon we're looking at highs in the upper 70s to around 80 degrees with the showers ending, and then tonight showers down to the south with temperatures in the 60s, and then tomorrow partly cloudy with highs around 80 with scattered showers mainly south. And then as we go into tomorrow night into Friday morning, scattered showers across the area, once again with temperatures in the 60s. And over the next 7 days, best chance of showers and storms again on Saturday night into Sunday. Some of those could be severe, and then drying out Monday and Tuesday before we have more showers on Wednesday and Thursday of next week. Coming up on the morning news, when we switch over to Fox 14, the new film, It Lives Inside, unleashes a demonic entity in theaters this weekend. And he teamed up with producers of the hit movie Get Out to tell a personal tale about an Indian American teenager struggling with her cultural identity. We'll have all that and more when we come back.
Here's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door. Another person is sentenced for the death of a woman who was kidnapped and shot after being forced into a well in Lawrence County, Missouri. Frank Sheridan pleaded guilty to 1 count of kidnapping in the 2020 death of Sarah Pascoe of Aurora, Missouri. A judge Monday suspended his 15-year sentence and gave him 5 years probation. In 2020, authorities say 9 people played a role in Pascoe's shooting death. They were also involved in the non-fatal shooting of another woman. Of the 9 originally charged with first-degree murder, Sheridan was released in January of 2022 on his own recognizance after he agreed to testify against the other defendants. A Sunday night race involving young drivers in Jasper County, Missouri ends with the crash of a pickup. Authorities responded to reports of a rollover crash at 13th and Palomino Road in Carthage just after 9 Sunday night. Authorities say a 14-year-old boy driving a Toyota Tacoma overturned while racing a Chevy Tahoe driven by a 12-year-old. 2 14-year-olds were taken to an area hospital with moderate injuries. And in 9 days, National Safety Apparel, previously known as King Louie in Baxter Springs, will be shutting its doors, leaving more than 70 people unemployed. But they're not alone. At the end of July, a trucking company, Yellow Corporation, also ceased operations, leaving another 30 people out of work. For many families, the effect of the closures are not just financial, but also emotional. The shutdowns could also impact other businesses in the area. And that's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door.
All right, here's a look at the radar. Over the last few hours, you can see scattered showers and storms starting to move away now, but we still have some heavy rain showers, especially in the southern part of the metro area down into northwestern Arkansas. Zooming in on that activity, you can see them stretching from just west of Joplin down in Neosho, also down into Pineville area along Interstate 49 into northwestern parts of Benton County. And we're looking at the allergies today, a lot better. It's going to be around 3.4 on the scale. And then tomorrow it starts to uptick a little bit with the ragweed, chenopod, and nettle being the predominant pollens. And then if we take a look at today's forecast, we're looking at temperatures in the mid-70s as we go into the afternoon hours, around 77. So not too bad of a forecast. And then we're looking at more chances of showers and storms, Caitlin, as we go into the rest of the week as well as the weekend.
All right, well, be sure to stay tuned. And coming up today at noon, we're making Parmesan onion boards in the Mr. Food Test kitchen.
Your morning news continues, of course, on KOAM with CBS Mornings. Ahead on CBS Mornings, award-winning chef Jose Andres is in the studio to talk about his new cookbook inspired by his work volunteering on the front lines following disasters around the world.
Or you can switch on over with us on Fox 14, where your only local morning news continues. This morning, Sherry Schnecker joins us today in studio to tell us all about the upcoming Fall Festival happening in McCune.
That's right. And plus, we have Mike Brown is going to be joining us in the studio today to tell us all about the organization's 14th annual Big Bash that's presented by Mercy.
Excellent. That'll wrap it up for us now. We'll see you back here tomorrow morning and again today at noon.